Hi, I'm Dawn and this is where Shabby meets Bling. Tonight I'm going to be using some thrifted items and some things just lying around, things I just happen to have, to create some rustically refined decor.
This is a Rustic Wednesday, but on Saturday, I would like to thank my co-host, Shelly, from Repurposed My Way. You're going to find the link to her channel as well as the link to this playlist in my description box below. This was a roadside find. How cool is that? It's an old hose holder, a wall mount. I don't know how old she is, but she's old. You can tell by the wear and the rust. You can still get these, but boy, it will not have the patina that this beauty has. And as far as a roadside find, I scored. I also found this piece of metal just laying next to it, and there were some other items that I didn't take. So I don't take like everything I find. I wish I could. I really wish I could. I've used hose holders before to make some other cool things like in this video. I'll leave the link in my description box. But right now I am going to make a wreath holder from this old hose holder and this old beat up piece of metal. I need to straighten it out as best I can, and I don't want to like add more dents to it. It's pretty beat up, so I just need to kind of get a better angle at the top so what I hang it on will hang straight, and I need to get some of those little bends down at the end of this thing gone. So I'm going to use my rubber mallet and a couple of clamps and my needle nose to try to make that happen. I got it reasonably flat and reasonably straight as best I could without doing something really major to it. Now I am going to sand off some of the rust where I am going to try to glue this piece of old junky metal to the back metal part of my hose holder. I need to get both pieces down to the bare metal as best I can, so that way when I glue them or attempt to glue them, they stand a chance of holding. So I give it a sanding, a good sanding. I have finished my sanding and now I'm busting out my Bay 7000 and I'm going to try to glue it. If this does not hold, my next best bet is to have a couple of little spot welds here and there, and that for sure will hold it, but I'm trying to get out of this the easy way by using my B7000. I put a plethora on my metal, and then I'm going to clamp these two pieces together, and then we'll sit overnight, let it dry, take it apart, and see if it holds. Here it is. It kind of held, but I don't feel it held good enough. So a couple spot welds and we should be just dandy. I'm touching up where there's glue, a little bit of glue that had seeped out, and those weld marks with some paint and my fancy mixture that I use when I create rust. At least one of the ways I create rust. You can see how I made the mixture in this video. I'll leave the link in the description box. It's not just cinnamon, so it is a couple of different things to get a different variety of shades of color. I am using a chocolate paint and a caramel paint. I am dabbing it on and then sprinkling a little of my mixture so it looks like rust. Not too shabby. Once this is completed and dried, I will be able to hang it where I'm gonna hang it. So I'm super excited. It is rusty and grungy and so pretty. So pretty. This is an old hose. It's an old hose that got a hole in it somehow. I guess, if you leave them outside in the winter, even though they're disconnected, sometimes they'll get a little bit of a little slit in them. And I figure, why throw a good looking hose away? I keep everything. Not a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder. I'm a collector of items that I will use in the future. And that is my story, and I'm sticking to it. Just like I'm using this hose that anybody else would have thrown away, but not Dawn Jones. Nope. I am going to make a wreath out of it. I am tying it together with some wire in a couple of places, and then I'm going to add some other elements to it. I may be using that little Galvy pail, and I'm definitely going to use this lavender. I will also be using one of these butterflies, not sure yet, but I kind of think the smaller one, and it will be getting a rust treatment as well. I also have some gorgeous ribbon that I picked up at Joann Fabric before they went bye-bye. And with this ribbon, I will create a bow for the top of my hose wreath. These 3 wall decor medallions I picked up at a Goodwill that was probably like an hour from my house. I remember them being like $1.99 each or $2.49, something like that. I remember they were extraordinarily inexpensive, or I wouldn't have gotten them in the first place. And I thought they were really pretty, didn't really like the color, but they've been in my garage for a bit, so you can see they've gotten scratched. And since the whole point of them was to never be this color, I didn't really care. But I do have a plan for them. The little pathway that leads under my new arbor leads right to my gate to my backyard, from my side yard through my garden to my backyard. That is where the wreath hanger that we just made is going to hang with my hose wreath. This is the pathway. It is seriously unmanicured. We just generally mow this area because I have landscaping rocks on either side, and that's where my garden begins. But I'm going to change all that by adding stepping stones. Well, not really stepping stones, but you get the point. Right now, I am using my high density foam to fill the back of them. Because if these things are not solid, if you went to step on them, even with dirt compacted under there or mulch, they're gonna break. You can see that the little panel is welded to the frame, and any amount of weight is gonna just crush, and I don't want them crushed because the whole point of me getting these was for the design. I think the designs on these are beautiful. They remind me of the old school tin ceilings, which I adore. I adore those tin ceilings. So I'm going to use my high density spray foam, and I'm going to fill all the cavities in the backs, and we're going to just set them aside and let them dry. It took 1.5 cans of my spray foam to make this happen. While my stepping stones are drying, I ran my errands, and look what I found. Look what I found. Someone actually put these out for the trash. What do people think? I mean, honestly, they think, hey, Dawn Jones is going to come by and pick these up. And guess what? Ta-da! Here I am. Aren't they gorgeous? Aren't they gorgeous? So there's 2 panels. There's 3 posts. I'm going to use these on either side of the pathway that I'm creating. Why not? As my good friend Cass says, if it's free, it's for me. I will need to find a 4th post, so I can stand them individually, one on one side of my path and one on the other. So I'm gonna have to get looking for a 4th post. My foam in my little medallions is totally dry. And so now I need to remove the extra. Now, in all reality, you could leave this because it would give you a more solid base to plant deeper into the ground. But my ground is super hard, and I don't want to have to dig down that far. I want these to be embedded into the ground, but not where I have to dig through rock. And my yard is so rocky, it's like a landfill back there of rocks. So I am cutting off all the extra as smooth to the metal as possible, and then we will go to the next step. And we know what that is. We're gonna paint. I get to paint. I'm gonna paint. And my favorite kind of paint, I'm gonna spray paint. It's such a beautiful day that I'm able to paint my little medallions outside. I'm starting out with a solid black, and this is a matte, and it is going to cover everything. And then I need to sit and let them cure. The black is my base coat because even if I don't do anything else to these, they would look like wrought iron or cast iron. And that in itself is gorgeous, but that's not where we're at, is it? This is Rustic Wednesday. We need to make these things a little more rustic than cast iron. Now they're just beautiful. They're refined. If you noticed, something got in my paint. And if something does get in your paint, wait till your paint is dry and then remove the foreign object. And now the rusting process begins. I'm starting with a claret wine and my mixture. I will be using the claret wine, walnut, dark brown, and brown, while occasionally spritzing my original black, all to create a certain rusty look. Rust has more than one color. There's variations in rust. It goes from like a red to a brown to kind of an orangey color, and I'm trying to capture a lot of that with this technique. To check out a lot of ways that I create rust, both faux and real, you can check out this video. I'll leave the link in the description box. So I just keep spritzing and shaking on my little mixture until I get it to look the way I want it to. The ultimate goal is for this thing to look like parts of it are so rusty they're gonna fall apart right in front of your eyes, while other parts haven't quite rusted, like any metal wood that hasn't been treated outside in the elements. It's just a continuous layering of my mixture and all my different colors of spray paint. I want it to have more of the brown rusty tones to go with the other items in my garden. While my medallions are drying, I took a quick run to Menards Garden Center. I have seen gate and fence panels in here before, metal and iron, and I'm going to see if I can find a post to match what I've got. So I make my way back to that section, and this is what we've got. So there's all of this. None of this works, but there's more. There's more around here. And lo and behold, look what we've got. Oh, winner. Fence dinner. That makes no sense. But that's it. That is like exactly what it is. $23.99? Nope, it's $29.99. So $30 a panel. $30. So that's $60 I picked up off the side of the road. Those are kind of cool too. Yeah. And what are these? Oh, no way. These are this is a little gate that matches. This is what is $23. That is really cool. I might even have a place for that, but I'm not getting it now. Maybe I'll find one alongside the road on the way home. But I still need a little pole. I need the connectors. So let's see what else we can find. Well, we take a good look at that. There they are. There's the short ones, and that's what I need. $4.74, so $5. $5, so that's another $15 that I found alongside of the road. So $75 worth of product, and I just have to pay $5, and I have a complete set. I think I did pretty good for just looking around as I drive. I keep my eyes on the road though. Don't think I don't. Let's get this and get out of here. Sidetracked by pretty plants. What are these? Oh, I want you. What are you? Okay. 4th of July butterfly. Yeah, okay. That's going on my list. I need one of these, but not today. I got to get back to work. Sorry. Just messing around. Let's get back to work. So pretty. My medallions are completely dry, and what I'm doing now is releasing some of that powder, my mixture that I added on, by lightly rubbing my fingers over those areas. So it really does look like rust. You can see that? Doesn't that look like bubbly old rust? I love it. Now we need to get them in the ground. I have my first section prepped for my first tile, for my first medallion, and I am digging a little hole just using my fingers, and I'm trying to get it set to see if it's level or not. Since the foam is a little bit higher in the middle, I have to make sure that the center of the place where I'm putting them, that dirt, is a little lower, because I don't want it to wiggle or wobble when it's stepped on. I keep adding dirt in places that I need to until it sets flat, completely flat. Then I start to add my mulch around the perimeter. I add plenty of mulch. I not only want this thing level with the mulch, but maybe even a little lower than the mulch. I have gone back since I put these in and stood on them and kind of wiggled around to make sure they are impacted. I will also, when I'm completely done, add some water to all of my mulch and then stomp on it to kind of compact it down so this is a completely level surface. I have a lot of work to be done. I have more digging, more weeding, and this crabgrass has got to go. But I have one down, one partially in, and one more waiting in the wings. And yes, you may have noticed my fence is already in place. To see how I did that, check out this video. I'll leave the link in the description box.
My projects are complete and I can't wait to share them with all of you. Let's go look. Let's go.
First, let's check out our hose holder, that rusty old hose holder that is now a glorious, still rusty, wreath holder. Well, there she is, just hanging out on my gate. And I love that gate. Look how rusty she is. Rusty, crusty, and glorious. But I love this wreath holder. I mean, it looks like it may have always been that way. How about that old hose, that brass butterfly, and that beautiful ribbon? Well, there she is. How's that for refined rustic? You have rust on the hose, a beautiful rusty butterfly, and a bow made from ribbon that literally has sparkles in it. How's that for a combo? There's the end of the hose. So rustic, so worn, so gorgeous. And blingity bling. Hey, if this is not truly shabby meets bling, I don't know what is. And the greenery blends beautifully with its surroundings. Let's take a closer look at my little butterfly. She is just rusty, crusty, gorgeous. Gorgeous. Hey, I believe that's real rust. I didn't have time to put her in my rusting bucket, so faux rust is the next best thing. How about those medallions turned stepping stones? This path went from overgrown garden nightmare to a living dream. Now my path is smooth and beautiful. Look at that. It blends in so well with that mulch, and it is even, and no one's gonna fall down, no one's gonna get hurt, and it leads right to the gorgeous gate with that refined rustic wreath. And that wreath was so simple. It's not meant to be complicated. I don't want to take away from the natural garden that I've created. And my little fence panels, look how beautiful they look with the pavers put in place just to kind of frame out the gate entrance. I already have some wisteria growing on them. Wisteria is quite something. It will just take over and go where it wants. Well, it went where it wants, and I love it. I am so happy with all I've completed at this point. I have so much more to do in my garden, but then again, the summer has just begun. This has been another Rustic Wednesday, but on Saturday. Thanks again to my good friend and co-host, Shelly, from Repurposed My Way for joining me tonight. You're going to find the links to her channel and this playlist in my description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share it with your family and friends, and anyone that likes salvaging, thrifting, DIYs, gardening, exterior, and rustic yet refined decor. You can follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to check out my shop on Etsy. Leave me a comment. I would absolutely love to hear from you. Ring the bell for notifications of all my upcoming videos. Subscribe. It's a fabulous way to support my channel. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.